Welcome to The Explainer. You know that feeling, right? You're online shopping, you find the perfect thing, you put it in your cart, and then, right when you're about to check out, the price just jumps. Where did that come from? Well, today, we're going to solve that little mystery.
So, let's dive right into a story that's probably going to sound very familiar. It's a classic shopping cart mystery.
All right, so picture this. You're scrolling online, and you find it. That perfect imported coffee maker you've had your eye on. And hey, it's a great deal, 50 bucks. You throw it in your cart, you head to checkout, and bam. Suddenly, the price isn't what you thought it was.
So what's going on? What's behind that mysterious $10 price hike? Well, a lot of the time, the culprit is something called a tariff. Yeah, it's kind of like this invisible hand that can reach right into your shopping cart.
Okay, so what is a tariff exactly? And how does this whole border toll booth thing actually work? Let's break it down.
All right, so a tariff is basically just a tax that gets slapped on goods that are imported into the country. You can really think of it like a toll booth at the US border, but instead of for cars, it's for, well, products. The whole point is to make foreign stuff a little more expensive, which, in theory, gives a leg up to the products made right here at home.
But how does that toll at the border actually find its way into the price you pay? It's a pretty interesting journey. Let's follow the money, so to speak, from the shipping container all the way to your wallet.
Okay, let's use an example. Say the government decides to put a 10% tariff on an imported smartphone.
This is where you can really see the ripple effect. So, a $400 smartphone is shipped to the US. When it hits the border, that 10% tariff kicks in. Boom, that's an extra 40 bucks right there. But, and this is the key part, that cost doesn't just disappear. The importer who brought it in has to pay it, so they pass that cost on to the store. And, you guessed it, the store then passes it right on to you. And that's exactly how a tax at the border makes your new phone more expensive.
And this whole thing brings us to the central debate, the real push and pull when it comes to tariffs. It's like this massive economic tug-of-war, and there are some really big consequences no matter which side you're on.
See, here's the fundamental trade-off. On one hand, the whole idea behind a tariff is to protect American jobs, maybe in the steel industry or in auto manufacturing. But on the other hand, the direct result for everyone else is, well, we end up paying more for all sorts of everyday stuff.
And it's not just about one single product either. These costs can really start to snowball. Think of it like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small at the border, but gets bigger and bigger by the time it hits your shopping cart. For example, not too long ago, new tariffs on some goods from China meant that the price of a brand new bicycle could suddenly jump up by 25%. That's a huge increase. And it was the same story for big household appliances. You go to buy a new washing machine, something you really need, and suddenly it's got this much higher price tag, all thanks to tariffs.
Okay, and here's where things get really interesting and a bit more complex. Even a car that's proudly stamped American-made can cost more because of this. How? Well, think about all the parts that go into that car. The steel, the electronics, the little computer chips. If those parts are imported and taxed, that cost gets baked into the final price of the car before it even leaves the factory.
And it doesn't stop there. This whole thing can kick off what's basically a global game of tag. The US puts tariffs on another country's goods, and then, tag, you're it. They retaliate and put tariffs on our exports. And that can really hurt American businesses like, say, farmers trying to sell their soybeans to other countries.
So let's bring this all home. After everything we've talked about, what's the big takeaway? What should you remember the next time you're looking at a price tag and thinking, that seems a little high?
Okay, the bottom line is pretty simple. A tariff is like a price shield. It's designed to protect companies here in the US. The catch? We're the ones who pay for that shield. You and me, the shoppers, right there at the checkout counter. It's a fundamental economic trade-off.
And really, it all boils down to this really tough choice, right? It's a classic case of cheaper stuff for everyone versus stronger American industries. And honestly, there's no easy answer here. It's a debate with very passionate arguments on both sides. So that leaves us with one last question for you. Now that you've got the inside scoop on the hidden story behind tariffs, what's another economic puzzle that's been on your mind? What's something you've always wondered about?